G'day, fans. Well, here we are back after a massive 10-month absence for a bit of the old talk and stuff. And I'll tell you what, we are so popular that absolutely not a single person is watching us at the moment. We're actually got goose eggs, Mr. Aaron. We're not loved by anybody. Oh, there we go. We've got a couple joining us now. How you going, old son?
I'm sure we'll pick up a viewership in the repeats and the downloads, won't we? I'm going okay. It just seems forever since we did one of these.
Yeah, so for those who are wondering what's going on, so it's been at least 10 months when, like, the end of last year, then we stopped. And funnily enough, we had your big Caroline Ford thing on the weekend, which we're going to talk about in a second. And a couple of people came up to me and said, "Oh, we really miss you from the show, and it'd be good to have you guys back," and bloody, bloody, blah. And as it turned out, I was actually watching one of our previous episodes from last year, which was also a No Frills episode where we just went on with like 10 minutes to spare. We had no pictures of any description. I actually found it quite entertaining. And I thought, well, what if we just do something similar again? And as it turns out, we do actually have a couple of people looking at us. Good old Christy's joined us, as has Rusky Babes, our dedicated viewers, the both of them. And so for that reason, here we are for effectively an hour to just crap on about whatever. What do you reckon there, dude?
Are we? We're talking about Docky Who because Greg King's just turned up.
Docky Who? Well, I guess we should talk about Docky Who. But before we do that, of course, we have to lead in with the ultimate Docky Who kickoff, and it's got to be this.
Doctor Who! Hey! The TARDIS! Doctor Who! Hey! The TARDIS!
Here we go. It never gets old, Mr. Aaron. How you going with the old Docky Who? Now, you actually reminded me we were actually doing reviews of season 15 or 50,000 or whatever it was earlier this year, and I completely forgot all about him. So how exciting was all that, dude?
I just have to point out to you, it never goes off because it was never fresh to begin with, and I think it's one of those things where you might have mentally blocked out the whole of season 2, 15, whatever it is, as soon as we finish that last episode.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely correct too. So for those who are wondering, another reason why we're sort of here, as I said, is we had the Caroline Ford thing on the weekend, and what's this? We really love you and think the world about you. Won't you please come back to our house? Please come back out. And, oh my God, that just sounds too soppy for my liking. So yeah, we decided to come back. And as of now, because we haven't got a lot to talk about, we do have a couple of things we can gas bag on about for this next hour. But we actually are encouraging anybody who's watching us to actually ask us questions because, surely you'd be wondering what we've been up to for the past 10 months. So, and in fact, one of those things that was happening, we're going to cover off right now. Now, of course, you have your own store, which is one of the coolest hangout places in the entire universe. It's like the 5th fan club of Melbourne at this stage, which is very groovy. And of course, you had your big Caroline Ford days, dude. So tell us about how exciting all that was.
Well, firstly, with the store, I'm not even going to try and fight it anymore. You're absolutely right. It just has become a big hangout for different fandoms, and any day of the week you can pick a different fandom that rocks up, and we start asking the deep and meaningful questions. So anyone who wants to come in, buying, selling, chatting, I wish there was a bit more of the buying sometimes though, but everything's good. And then we had the Caroline Ford Day, and we've had a few different guests and a few different events. We haven't even really been on to discuss the Batman event that we had earlier in the year, which was around Dags's collection. But I have to say the Caroline Ford event probably was my favourite one, just because she was such a lovely guest. We had a big crowd. Everyone was well behaved.
We've lost him. He's frozen up. Oh, how's that? Hang on, are we still there? Oh, you know what it is? He's still there. Are we on? Are we on?
I'm still here. I
that's
haven't.
all good. You just froze for a second. I said maybe it's got something to do with the bad weather we're currently getting and knocking out all the electricity around the state. So anyway, keep going, old son.
Yeah, we are blowing a storm here at the moment, so it is probably that. So, where was I? We had everyone come down on Saturday. Everyone was well behaved. We had a massive queue. The weather was pretty good on Saturday. It wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold. Everyone went home with an autograph, some Doctor Who memorabilia, our special Doctor Who Discovers postcards that we've been making for each one of these, and it was generally a really good event. Dags, you're not a Doctor Who fan, really. What did you think?
So, look, it actually was quite good. I mean, the thing that I find about these particular events, I'm not interested in the guests at all. And to be frankly honest, I don't even recognize who they are until they turn up with their minders. And I go, oh, it must be that person because they're with the minder. But from my perspective, what is good about it is that they have very, very good vibes and energy. So everybody's there for the same reason. There's a lot of people, as you saw in the photograph of the queue. People are in the zone. Everybody got through without a problem, got their autographs and whatever else, and they all got to meet Carol Ann, and it was all great and wonderful. So I think it's just the collective energy of all these people being there for the same reason is what I feed off more than anything else. And because I'm outside doing the door duties, and it's great, and people are coming through. You can see they're anticipating, they're excited. But what I get to see that even you don't get to see is when they leave the store. So for those who don't know, when they walk into the shop, because the signing's in the middle of the shop, people take a left-hand corner turn and they go right around the store, get the autograph, and then they tend to just walk straight out. And I get to see them as they leave. So I get to see them after they've got their scroll, the signature, whatever. And I'll tell you what, beaming smiles and absolutely in the zone. And that's not just the Carol Ann one, but the previous ones as well. And it is a very, very cool feeling to say, how well are you going? How good is that? And they're very, very excited. So you're bringing a lot of joy to the masses, dude.
Well, one of the things, it's kind of, I guess, the philosophy of the shop is to support the sci-fi and fandom community. And one of the things I remember growing up in Melbourne, you'd have shops like Space Age Books and Minotaur, which is still around, but I don't think they do it anymore, would have signings and guests and things like that. All Star Comics, I think, still do a comic book signing once in a while. And I'm not sure if some of the major bookshops do them. But I think as fandom, it's kind of changed. We've kind of lost sight of some of these smaller, more intimate events where you have your Comic Cons and you have your Armageddons, and sometimes it's fun because some of the guests there are people that you really want to see and you wouldn't see them any other way. Sometimes it's just like cattle being forced through lines and signing and paying tons and tons of money, and that's one of the reasons why I try to do it as buy anything in the shop and you get an autograph. So if you buy a $2 magazine, you get an autograph, and hopefully that's subsidized by some of the collectors that come in and drop a couple of $100s on toys as well. But it does mean that it's accessible to kids and families that might not want to go along to Comic Con just because of the cost of the prices. So I do like to offer an alternate that supports the local sci-fi and comic book community.
Very cool. A couple of things here. So, K-Man, I think it's pronounced, is saying hello. So we're just saying hello back. I think you're a first-time viewer, which is very, very cool. Christy said, I deserve a pay rise for putting up with all the Doctor Who fans. Yes, I do deserve a pay rise because I tell you what, by the time at the end of the night, I had to go home and just purge it all out of my head. So, yeah, it was just like, oh my God, I'm Doctor Who'd out. What can I say? So, and way back up here on a completely unrelated note, Joe has asked how the Batman sale went. I will actually cover it off a little bit later on because a lot of things have actually happened this year, which is very, very cool. And Sean's joined us as well, which is kind of cool. And it's kind of funny. A lot of things have happened this year, and you think, oh my gosh, there was like this event and that event and this movie and this TV show. So we probably will cover a bit of them off as we go along. And as I said earlier, we actually are encouraging people to ask us questions because we don't actually have a structured program for tonight. When we did the show last year, everything was all planned out. This time we're sort of just making it up as we go along. So, but yeah, so your events have been very successful. And is there another one in the works, Mr. Aaron?
There's always ones in the works. I try and do at least one event a quarter. Now that might be a Star Wars sale for like May the 4th or Comic Book Day or a Doctor Who signing or a garage sale or something like that, because we're heading down to Halloween. I don't know if we'll do anything for Halloween because I won't be around. And then, Christmas will be around like that. But there will be different events if you just follow our Facebook page, and then you'll probably see afterwards, which the Facebook algorithm is really weird. I had a lot of people the day after go, oh, gee, I wish I'd seen that come up, where literally I'd been posting stuff on the page for the previous 2 weeks and tagging everyone who followed me in it. So we do stuff. If it doesn't come up in your thread, just check out the page once in a while, I guess.
Very, very cool. Now, Joe asked about the Batman thing. I will just cover it off briefly because it wasn't a me thing. It was the store thing, right? So I just want to clarify that so I'm not blowing my own trumpet here. But I used to be a Batman collector. There's a whole website devoted to it for those who want to check it out. And of course, there was the documentary on SBS On Demand as well. And I came to the decision early in the year to actually sell the collection off through your store. We have the upstairs area in the shop, and the entire area was cleared out. The stuff moved in. We actually had a trailer for it put online and bloody blah, and the sale started in August. So for those who are wondering, for those who are interested anyway, it all started off from a publicity point of view with the Herald Sun newspaper. So the funny thing was that Aaron, if I recall, sent out a press release on the Monday. This is the weekend before the launch. Wednesday, the Herald's, actually the local leader newspaper got hold of it in Blackburn, passed it on to the Herald Sun. They sent out a reporter at 2:00 on Wednesday afternoon. 2 hours later, this article was published online, and 2 hours after that, the TV stations got it, and it went completely apeshit. And then it just got this massive amount of publicity. So I'm not going to show any of the stuff that the TV stations did, but funnily enough, one of the people who did turn up to the event was able to document the entire thing for one of his own videos. And it's actually the best thing to watch if you want to hear or see everything that went on about it. So you have to go to this guy's channel. So he calls himself Simple Simon. So if you just go to YouTube and type in Simple Simon Batman, this particular video should come up. Goes for over an hour, but he covers off the entire experience from when the collection was first going to be sold off. He interviews yourself as you're setting it up in the store, when the media release came out, when the big launch occurred, and the follow-up from that. So now it's like a couple of months have passed, and the collection is still in the store, and it's a lot smaller than it used to be. Mr. Aaron, what are your thoughts about the whole Batman experience now that we're into October instead of August?
Well, I have to say, Batman greater than Doctor Who when it comes to media interest, because I send out press releases for all the events we do, and even the people who came to this one and said, yeah, definitely tell us about the next Doctor Who one, crickets when I sent out press releases for the Carol Ann Ford Day. So I was a bit surprised about that. The Batman event was amazing. Firstly, I don't think I've ever seen your entire collection before. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and you've opened boxes and showed me some stuff. So actually having it out on display was incredibly impressive. I mean, it looked like an amazing exhibition. I think it could have been one of those things, if it wasn't for sale in the shop, you could have had Mommy or Acme or one of those sort of pop culture museums that they have display it, and it would be more impressive than some of the stuff I've seen them display over the years in the Fed Square place. I mean, it does just concentrate on a certain area of Batman, and I guess a museum would probably prefer to have a more broader view of the overall 100 years of Batman rather than sort of the 10 years plus a little bit extra that you were collecting. But I think even you were shocked when you saw it set up, because you haven't had the room to display it the way we displayed it in the shop yourself. And I remember when you first came up after I'd sort of been working on it for about 48 hours straight, and you double taked because of how big and impressive it looked. Do you recall that when you first saw it set up?
Yeah, I do actually, and I just realised I do have some photos. I'm just shooting through here while it was all being put together. Yes, so the funny thing was that when it was on display in my home, there was a lot of stuff that was kept in storage. So when it got to your store and everything got brought out, I mean, I was seeing things that I didn't even know I even had, and it was kind of funny. We found it with this large box full of these Kentucky Fried Chicken posters for Batman and Robin in 1997, and we pulled those out. And that was the first time they'd ever come out of their box, because I never opened anything that was already sealed. And that was a bit of a mind spin. I go, I did not even know we had these, because if you had said to me, oh, these came in from somewhere else, I would have believed you, because it's like, yeah, I had to really think about where they even came from. So, yeah, it was a bit of a mind spin in that regard, and it did look fantastic. So for those who are wondering, as part of the arrangement, Aaron not only set up the entire displays and did an absolute massive thing regarding the wow factor, but he did all the pricing as well. And I think that was another reason why it all worked as well as it did. And before I move on, Deb, good to see Deb join us from Sydney. It's disappointing because crickets have empty wallets. Yeah, exactly right. And that's how it all sort of worked. And, of course, there was just a massive big vibe for it. But it did look very impressive, even to my eyes. And I go, yeah, this is very, very cool. So, yeah, you did well, dude.
Well, one of the other things I find interesting, and people who know Dags will know this is absolutely true, I had to say to him, I know you're a mint in box and an unopened person, but some of this stuff will look more impressive, so sell better if I open it. And after a bit of umming and ahhing, Dags said, yeah, I trust you, open up whatever you want, and then added the caveat, but just not when I'm around, because I don't want to see that shit happening.
I love this one from Russell. Kentucky Fried Chicken, Batman and Robin posters the chickens and nipples. Jeepers creepers. Oh my goodness gracious me. No, it was actually, look, it was a really good time. It was good for me. It was good for the store because Aaron would keep saying throughout the whole thing, blah blah blah, for you, as in for me. And I go, no, it's for us. Right, it's for me to sell the collection and for you to promote the store, and it certainly did. And because of the media exposure, it was actually really, really positive. So, for example, now the Channel 9 News did 2 segments, one for 5 o'clock in the afternoon, one for 6 o'clock in the evening. And the one at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the Saturday got broadcast. And like within 10 minutes, these 2 dudes just walk in wearing their high vis vests. And as it was, were working in the next suburb, saw the thing on the news, came straight on over, and they saw these block-mounted Batman Returns posters that they wanted to buy because they'd seen them on the news. And sure enough, they ended up buying them. So that was an example where publicity from the media was massively beneficial for us. And on top of that, we had another guy on the second week who actually flew back from Uzbekistan, of all places.
Yeah.
And he said, you missed the previous week. He flown in and come straight from the airport to the shop. I go, oh, that's commitment, man. I'll tell you what. So
it really is. It shows you the power of the media and how total the reach is. And if anyone's interested, it was shown in every state Australia-wide. And the week after, when the ratings came out, I did the ratings for all the shows that it was on, including the radio. Dags was on Bridget Duclos, and it came out that we were viewed by 6.5 million people Australian-wide on the about the 6 or 7 different articles and news stories that went over for the weekend. So that was the biggest viral thing the shop has ever done. Although I don't know if being on the news counts as being viral, but it's everyone who sees it's a customer in my eyes.
So the funny thing was that the guy who made the Batman and Me documentary that kickstarted this entire thing, and he actually came down for the big event. So he, which was great, and he filmed all this extra material, and he did some final interviews with yourself and myself. And at some point, he's planning to put together an epilogue of the entire saga because he saw it effectively not from birth to death, but from when it was like in full bloom to its demise, as it were. And so, I'd be curious to see how it all sort of transpires when he puts all that together, because it was all filmed directly as the sale was occurring. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how it all comes together. But the good thing is, there's bits of me now living in all these different houses, which is very, very cool. And of course, the ultimate gag is 3 items came home, because Lynn, my other half, said, "Oi, I want that. Oi, I want that. Oh wait," and it's like, "No, I'm trying to sell this shit off. I don't want to keep bringing it all back." So
all the bits of you that live in different houses, are they the ones that are after you for child support?
Yeah, that would be the one too. And for those who are wondering, no, the ice creams and the Batmobile are still in the fridge, because even Lynn said, "No, you ain't selling those." So she's actually gotten used to them being there, which is very, very cool. So from an exposure for the store, it was absolutely fantastic. So that was just another big event that's occurred in the past couple of months, which is another reason why we haven't been back for a long period of time, because there's just so much going on. And poor old Aaron over there, mate, he's just flustered to the extreme with stuff going on. You went to a convention on Sunday, and we were involved in like the panels and everything. So he's behind the microphone now talking about Docky and stuff. How exciting is that, dude?
That is crazy. And I have to thank Dags for that, because he was the one that kind of helped and pushed us to do these shows we've done. And I don't like speaking in public, and now I have absolutely no problem in speaking for hours and hours and hours and putting everyone to sleep without stumbling over my words. So thank you for that. There's hundreds of Doctor Who fans that want to kill you for that, Dags.
Speaking of which, so fans, for those who don't know this story, this is an absolute ball terror. This is also something else that happened recently. And of course, it's a Docky Who thing. So a couple of months ago, there was a planned event. Now, Greg King is with us at the moment. He runs the Bendigo Whovian Society out there. There was a planned road trip to go to the local Bendigo gig full of Docky Who fans. So Aaron's going and a couple of other guys are going, and they asked if I'd go. Now, of course, me being a Docky Who aficionado, not, I said, "What the hell? I'm up for a road trip. At the very least, while the meeting's on, I'll just go down to the local, look all the shops and do a bit of sightseeing around Bendigo." But no, this Daggy did actually attend the event, right? So here I am at a Docky Who event in Bendigo. Can't stand being there. Got no idea what the hell's going on. And I'll give you one guess, fans, who won the damn door prize. Yep, winner, chicken dinner. Absolutely fantastic.
Well,
Is that I rub their noses in it.
The funniest thing about that, usually when someone wins a door prize, they don't get up and give a speech, do they, Daz?
They don't. Well, I got up and I said, well, I've actually been around the community for a long time, but I'm not a fan, and it's like, yes, yeah, get stuffed the whole lot of you. So it's actually really, really, really good.
I find what's interesting about your personality, Dags, you'll go along to any fan club meeting, not because you enjoy the show, it's just because you love the community and you love fandom. And I think it's really interesting to see you interact with different fandoms where sometimes you're knees deep in it with Star Wars or Doctor Who, you sit up the back and watch. But I think you enjoy both of them for different reasons.
Yeah, that's true. Well, as it is this next month, actually, the Doctor Who Club of Victoria is having their Christmas party. And believe it or not, who's going to be there? Who is going to be there on behalf of the store selling Docky Who stuff to the masses, right? Me. So if someone walks up to me and says, have you got a Silurian steel mint box? I'll go, what the freaking hell is one of those? Because I have got absolutely no freaking idea.
I think you'll find most Doctor Who Silurians are mint in box because they're not that good with girls.
Mate, you should be impressed. I don't know what a Silurian even is. I just know the words. So there you go. William made a point of saying it was a good panel on the lost episodes that Aaron was on. So there you go. You got to stand up behind the microphone in front of a massive crowd of throbbing nerds and entertain them accordingly.
Well,
well done, dude.
It wasn't just me. I was interviewed, and also Professor Jason Bainbridge, who's a friend of yours now, Dags, I guess, came down from Brisbane for the weekend because he had some stuff down here, but he extended so he could come to the Caroline Ford Day. And then we kind of said we were going to be around, so they asked us if we'd do a panel. So that worked out really well. So I've had a really fun weekend. I've run events, been involved in events, and then just been a fan of the events as well. So I'm pretty happy Aaron at the moment.
Good stuff. Christy has said, it's funny, the door prize usually goes to the person who doesn't want it. Oh, I actually wanted it, but not for me, for my other half. The vegetarian aunt keeps winning meat trays. Well, I was sitting at the back, right? And I had ticket number 21. And I thought, what are the chances? And as soon as I called my number out, they're all looking around and I just said, win a chicken dinner. And I'm just literally strutting up to the front. And I tell you what, it was an hysterical moment. And yes, as Aaron said, I did actually make a speech effectively saying why I didn't want to be here. So but I'll take the winnings anyway. And I went home and gave them to Lynn, and she was a completely happy camper. So it was a very, very funny day. So yeah.
Are you sure you didn't slip the Soul Greg King something as you go in and, like, let me win the door prize and I'll give you a Legends of the Sea Devils or something like that?
Well, people who didn't know who I was would be sitting there thinking, who the hell's this turkey? Why did he win? He doesn't even want to be. It was a very, very funny moment. So that's something else that occurred this year as well.
That you didn't actually point out there were 2 door prizes and someone won before you and got up and asked what was in the tin, and Greg King said there's nothing in the tin, so they picked something out, and then you got up and shake the tin and there's something in it, and you opened it, and the first guy was like, oh, I wanted those.
Yeah, I thought you said the tin was empty, and of course he opened the tin up and there's 2 TARDISes inside. I didn't know there were salt and pepper shakers. And of course, the Greg King says to me, oh, hang on, they're not actually supposed to be in there. And I said, dude, they're in the tin, dude. So too bad, so sad. So I get the tin, the salt and pepper shakers, come home, and Lynn is the happiest camper in the universe. So yes, I was a very, very popular lad that night. So yeah, anyway, the Bendigo Hoovian Society, for anybody who lives out in the regional areas, when Greg has those events on, you should go along and check them out, which is very, very cool. Mark has asked, but seriously, who are you guys? Well, that's a very good question. Who are we, Dave?
I think the thing about that was we had such a good time. We probably would go up and do it again at some point. It's just finding the time when everyone can do it. That's the issue. Life is so full at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. This is going back in 2002. I was actually once on a minibus trip to Sydney for a big Star Wars event, right? So we had 2 minibuses, the quiet bus and the party bus, and I was on the crazy party bus, of course. And we had such a fantastic time. I mean, it's just insane. We even got video of it and everything. It was such a fantastic time. We actually said, when we got back, we should just hire a minibus, just leave it in the car park and just sit in for the next day, 8 to 12 hours.
Well, we've had a road trip that I don't think we've really discussed on anything since we came back. And Dags and I actually drove up to Queensland and back on a mad dash. And it was one of those things where I think, do you know what? Like, there would be no one who'd want to do this, like drive up to Queensland with me and back just to deliver some stuff to a university, and Dags was in for it. And when we got back and told everyone what we'd done and where we'd been, and it was nothing out of the ordinary. It was just like holiday type road trip stuff. The number of people who said, "Oh, the next one, can we come along too?"
Well, I'll tell you what, fans, and I'm just going to say just very quickly here, big hello to, I think it's Lawrence. Yeah, Lawrence, late to the show. Glad I heard about it on the channel from Club 1138. Oh, okay. Didn't know there was a Club 1138. I've heard of a Club Obi-Wan, if you know your Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, but Club 1138 sounds like a happening place. The funny thing was, you could tell you got two nerds in the car, right? This is the kind of thing that anybody else watching this moment would be thinking, we're just shaking their heads in shame, right? So Aaron and I was awake for the entire trip. He did all the driving, and we're just talking, like 20-something hours of conversation. And at one point, believe it or not, we had like a bonding moment between Aaron and myself where we recited the opening monologue to Flash Gordon, the 1980 movie. Clotus, I'm bored. What plaything can you offer us today? And I tell you what, we got through that whole bit, and we feel like, oh, dude, we've just had a moment. It's like warm and fuzzy feelings going around. And I thought, anybody else looking at this thing, and oh my God, how tragic is that? So,
well, the best thing about it, when you've got that much time, and it really was 40 hours of us just talking in the car. We talked about fandom. We talked about movies. We talked a lot about Star Wars. We talked a little bit about Doctor Who. That's when Dag sort of glazes over. We talked about a lot of the shows that we watch, and we probably talked a lot about the things that we would be doing if we were doing a podcast. So all the things that you've missed out through the whole year of us doing nothing, we talked about in the car that trip.
So the thing about doing quotes is getting them right. It is not most amusing, Your Majesty. It's most effective, Your Majesty. Will you destroy come and join me? Will you destroy this Earth later? I like to play with things a while before annihilation.
We did
see even now.
we did talk about Russell, because we talked about Jack Polak's Bullshit or Not, and how we could resurrect that as a segment on one of our shows, and how Russell would be the only one that would remember it.
Yeah, exactly right. Very, very good. Should have recorded the conversation. I tell you what, it was a moment in time. I mean, it wasn't all nerdy talk. He did talk some serious stuff, but it was a never-ending conversation. It's not like, and I said this as a joke after Aaron picked me up from my home. I said, "We'll get to the end of the street and I'll be asleep. Wake me up when we get to Queensland." But I was awake the entire time, and it's amazing how two dudes can just crap on about life, universe, and everything. It was really, really groovy. Lawrence has said, it's a sci-fi fan club that this is Club 1138, meet in Mount Waverley each month. Oh, really? Mixture of Star Wars and Star Quiz and one of the most. Hang on. Really? Hang on, I'm going to start again. It's a sci-fi fan club that meet in Mount Waverley each month. It's a mix of Star Wars and Star Trek fans, quizzes and fun. One of the guys spoke about you two last month. Wow. Jeez, Lawrence, you can send us some details, dude. I'll have to stick my beak into that one and check it out, because I'm a bit of a fan, what do you call it, tragic. I like to go around and see what's happening in the world.
You would have had him there if it was Star Wars, Star Trek, and Dune. But there's a severe lack of Dune fan clubs in Australia, which we've talked about many times about forming one. Not the new Dune, the old Dune with the cat milking and the midget whipping and things like that. There's not enough midget whipping, is there, Dags, in sci-fi these days?
Tell you what, you need to whip it good. Yeah, it's very good. Dispatch War Rocket Ajax to bring back his body, Ajax. Very, very cool. So yeah, the old Flash Gordon quotes can never go astray, which is a very, very cool. Guess what?
Unfortunately, if it was my body, they'd have to dispatch War Rocket, Ajax, and Acme, because they'd need a bigger rocket.
I mean, in Australia, it doesn't help, does it? When you hear Ajax, you just automatically think it's like a dispatch War Rocket, Mr. Sheen or something. So it kind of takes the shine off it. Get it? Come on.
Not War Rocket Ajax. I've just Mr. Sheen the bumper bars.
Very good. Here we go. And June was talked about, and Alien, Jaws, etc. As in Alien and Jaws, not Alien. The Jaws from the Alien, around 30 members. I'll send a link in a minute. Very good. So, good stuff. So, hang on. What? Just the man with a slab of courage. It's just the man's courage. How can you have a slab of courage? You can have a slab of beer, not a slab of courage. Jeepers creepers, bloody hell. So, very, very cool.
I'll tell you what, any fan club that started up and getting about 30 people coming along is pretty good, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So well done, Club 1138. I like the name of it, actually. It's very, very groovy. So good stuff. Guess what? We're already half an hour through our gas bag. We've still got people watching us. It was absolutely fantastic. do you want to talk about some of the movies and TV shows that came out this year, sci-fi related, Mr. Aaron, and our thoughts and views on them? What do you reckon?
Yeah, as long as it's weapons.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't class it as sci-fi. That was more supernatural, really. So,
Yeah, I guess. No, I was being facetious. There's been some great sci-fi this year, actually, hasn't there?
yeah, yes, very, very cool. Unless, as I said, if somebody wants to ask us a question, we were actually asked a question earlier, and I don't know if it was serious or not, as to who we are. So, I think everybody watching, aside from Lawrence, would have an idea as to who we are. I like the fact that someone's talking about us. I mean, how does that make us famous or what?
I think it makes us has-beens.
Mm. Oh yeah, been there. I can say I've been there, done that. So yeah, it's very, very cool. All right, let's kick it off.
Well, I think I'm
You
I'm a
go.
has-been. I'm a has-been, and you're a never was.
True. Won't say no to that. So very, very groovy. All right. So the big show that came out this just finished not that long ago. So we're just going to we're doing this at random, right? So if anybody wants to chuck in some details or some thoughts and views, go right ahead. It was good old Alien Earth, one of the big ones that's from the Alien franchise, and yeah, the TV series. And I know that it started off pretty well for you, and then it kind of died a death, Mr. Aaron. So you had a concern about it. Feel free to lodge those concerns.
Firstly, it's a bit of a wanky concern, but it's one of those things that I hate in any movie, not just sci-fi. And once you see it, and once I've told you what it is, you see it and you go, yeah, that's pretty crap. I hate when there's arc-wielding sparks just flying off the walls or off the ceiling in every single scene. And I have to say, the first 3 episodes of Alien Earth were one of the most guilty productions I've ever seen of that. You never saw where they were originating. It was all off screen. It was obviously put in afterwards because the actors were not even reacting to arc welding sparks like flying onto them. And for me, the atmosphere that they get from doing that is not worth the suspension of disbelief that is ruined for it for me. Apart from that, like I had to say, if I'm nitpicking that, the first couple of episodes were pretty good. I enjoyed it. You could tell it was a TV show because I think the alien costume suffered from a bit of the man in the suits. And I was liking it, loving it. And then spoilers, I guess, for anyone who's watching us. If you've watched us and not Alien Earth, get your priorities right. Then when you get to the point where girl can telepathically growl and talk to the alien and control them, nah, that doesn't work for me. That's just dumb. Ruin the series. Aliens are just a force of nature. They obey the Queen and they just kill everyone. So there was some really good, interesting concepts. Some of the other aliens were more interesting to me than the actual main alien. And I think they did really well in introducing stuff like that in an alien franchise. Like other aliens that sort of are as good is a very hard thing to do. But it was one of those when you take a step back and you think about the story, it really falls apart quite quickly with any analysis. What did you think?
So you're saying that once you could communicate with the alien, it really was a case that the show jumped the xenomorphs.
Yeah.
I quite liked it. Now, Deb has made a point about the special effects. I actually thought they were quite good, especially when the ship crashes into the buildings at the start. I thought that was actually kind of cool. I liked it. I really liked the 70s aesthetic, and I had like recreated like Mother and the Nostromo and all sort of business, even though it wasn't the Nostromo, it was another ship. And I did dial into the fact that the corporations control the world effectively, and I think that's not too far from the real world as it currently stands. I didn't have an issue with the idea that she could communicate with the xenomorphs. I mean, I think it's one thing to say you can talk to them versus you can control them. I thought that was a little bit like unsure as to how that all sort of worked. I was more phased by the fact she could communicate and control the computers, opening the doors and whatever else. And I thought, okay, I'm not sure. That's a little bit of a get out of jail free card. And of course, it's introducing extra elements to characters that were never there in the original Alien. So aside from humans being just plain human, and of course you got your androids, now there's 2 more in the mix. So you got the one where you got the human brain stuck into a robot, and the other one where you got a human that's got artificial augmentation. And of course, you've never seen that before anywhere in the Alien universe. So I thought that was a little bit different. So, but that aside, it did end on a bit of a cliffhanger ending. Its production values were really good. I agree with you. Some of the other aliens that they featured were really, really interesting to say, what's the deal with that? But it was definitely It didn't embarrass itself. I thought it was actually
No.
a really good series and really enjoyed it. So yeah, very, very cool.
I did think, is it meant to be part of the Alien continuity, or is it a different
Yeah.
universe? How
No, it's right.
comes?
It's 2 years before before the first
Okay,
movie. Yeah, go on.
okay. Well, how long after Alien was she in cryosleep? It was 70 years, was it, or something like that?
Yeah, 60 something years. That's Ripley. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how comes in Aliens they say, so what you're describing is something that we've never seen in like 170 years of space exploration, an alien, where apparently, 70 years earlier they were going out and bringing back zoos full of them.
Yeah, that's true. Although in the original movie, they were already aware that the xenomorphs existed on LV 426. That's the reason why the crew were woken up in the first place. Remember, Mother had all the mission parameters and whatever else. So I guess
Yeah.
it does fit into the saying that the corporation, Weyland-Yutani, were aware that the xenomorphs existed prior to that. And this, I guess, kind of fits into that continuity. But of course, if the xenomorph escapes the island and starts running amok through the population, it's going to be pretty hard to keep it quiet. So,
Here, here was
yeah,
my here was my ending. The aliens start getting out,
7 years.
so
Thank you.
they
Yeah.
sort of go, well, this ain't working, and they nuke everything, so there's no proof. And
Mm.
then Wayland Tumami go, well, I guess we're going to have to send someone back to pick up some more eggs. And then you see the message on the Nostromo, and then it just
Mm.
sort of the continuity works. I did look, as a science fiction fan, I thought it was a good watch. As an Alien fan, I think it did too much deviation from what we've seen in Alien and Aliens for me to enjoy it as much as I would have liked to.
Yep, no, fair enough. I totally get that, and we'll have to see if it progresses further and what they do with it. But at the moment, they've kind of introduced the problem. How they solve the problem is the next thing. Deb has said, "You're right. They could use different methods to set the scene than some lame special effects and welding sparks." Yeah, it is kind of funny, and I agree with you. You have the welding arcs, you go, "Where's it actually coming from?" It's like, yeah, dear, and it's like Star Wars. Don't think too hard. As sci-fi on Earth, logic and continuity doesn't always apply. I agree with you, Deb, but it should apply because this is going to get analyzed to the nth because the alien universe has now been established quite well. I know it deviates from Prometheus and Alien Covenant and all that sort of stuff, but if it's set prequel that sets up the 79 movie, then it really needs to have its ducks lined up. And maybe it will. If the story was to continue, it might actually have a really nice ending and you go, you know what? That's all great and wonderful. But yeah, they've got to be careful they don't actually trip over their own logic. So anyway, not
I did
to worry.
I did like the nods to it was in the same universe as Blade Runner, and now we know what all those people were that were cleaning the walls in Blade Runner. They were mold scourers.
Yeah, well, that's right, because Blade Runner and Alien share the same universe, as I found out not that long ago. Now, with that in mind, we haven't done one of these for 10 months. So let's do one, shall we? We have a fun factoid, which is very, very cool. From Rusky Bays, fun factoid, the company man at the start of Aliens who debriefs Ripley was Paul Maxwell, who was the voice of Steve Zodiac in Fireball XL5. See, you learn something new here every day, dude.
The other one that I thought it was cool to see was the android she froze at the end was Adrian Edmonds, who was Vivian in The Young Ones.
Oh, very good. I was waiting for you to say, oh, that was some dude from freaking Docky F and Who, because you tend to bring that up a fair bit. Yes, that was actually very, very cool. The other big thing that came out actually a couple of weeks ago, which has kind of divided the fan community a little bit, is, of course, Tron Ares, Mr. Aaron, came out in the cinema, absolutely big and dazzling and flashing and fantastic, and the poor old Tron himself is not even referenced one bit. What is the deal with that, Mr. Aaron?
They could have fixed that really easily. Firstly, I'm going to, go against popular opinion, and I liked it. I didn't mind it at all. I think at the start when they created Ares, all they had to do when he said, "Who am I?" and they said, "You're the system," or what is it, whatever. That you're Tron Ares, the system controller, and just have Tron as a designation for different programs, and then you wouldn't have to worry about Bruce Boxleiter not being in it.
Yeah, I was watching the movie thinking, when is Tron going to make an appearance? At least in Legacy, Rinsler turns into Tron. Okay, we got that one. You do actually see him there, but it wasn't even referenced, not even at all. And Sam and Cora at least got mentioned, in passing at the start and a bit more later on. So there were, of course, the characters from Tron Legacy who flying around on their motorcycle at the end of the movie. But
Yeah.
Tron didn't even get referenced at all. You could almost take the name out of it, just call it Ares. So
Yeah.
that was a bit of a weird one. So yeah. Any other? Keep going.
Well, I'm disappointed that Disney have said that's it for Tron this in the cinema. We're not going any further because it's really bombed quite badly for them. I didn't think it was that bad. Did you like it? I enjoyed it.
I did. I really liked the concept of it. I thought it's the next evolution in the digital realm, bringing things from the digital world into the real world, right? And I thought that makes so much sense. I was really dialed into that, and I like the idea that after 29 minutes everything falls apart. That was great, and I was completely sold on that. The bit that I had, funnily enough, based on that, the bit that I had an issue with was at the end of the story. They're saying, "Oh, we can now bring everything in the digital world. We can solve world hunger and solve overpopulation and solve this and solve that." And I was thinking, that's complete bullshit. If you could bring stuff into the digital world, all you'd be bringing in is freaking bigger guns and bigger bombs. So that's what people be thinking about more than anything else. But I did actually like the concept of it, and I actually quite enjoyed it. But yeah, when they came into the real world, I thought that was a really really good move. The only thing I found, I was a little bit. I mean, I it just sorry, go back when they went into 80s Tron. So you actually see the grid from the light cycles from the 82 movie. That was great. That was a really, really good moment. And there was a lot of fan service chucked in for this. Like you see, like when the crushing, was it the company that has the what do you call it? The skips, Dumont, for example, is the company.
Yeah.
Very, very good. There's a lot of fan service. Some lines were even like close to the original movie. So that I
It
got to
didn't
say was actually very
it didn't have the one fan service I want when was it Athena? I've forgotten who it was.
mm.
When the other program was fighting with him at the end, and she said, "What are you doing?" Because he's broken his program. I really wanting to say, "I fight for the user." That was the one line from it that they could have dropped and they didn't. But overall, it was better than I thought because I thought it was going to be pretty bad. So I went in with pretty low expectations.
One of the interesting comments that I heard from somebody, and I thought this actually makes a lot of sense because the soundtrack is done by Nine Inch Nails. The comment was, "Oh, it's Nine Inch Nails trying to sound like Daft Punk, who did Tron
That's what
Legacy."
I
And I
yeah
go, "Yeah, you said that." I think I thought, "Yeah,
yeah
that
yeah.
I totally agree with that actually," because yeah, they're trying to emulate the previous group and what they did. So, I mean, Jared Leto is obviously the big star of the show, and whether you like it or don't like it from that perspective is entirely up to you. But the concept behind it does make a lot of sense. There's probably a few plot holes you can probably drill through it, but naturally, visually, it looks really, really great. And it had some really nice gags in it that, as if you're a Tron fan, you'll dial into it. If you've never seen Tron before, it probably won't do anything for you.
Yeah.
Very good. Another thing that came out this year. Now, this one's a very contentious one. This one actually had a little bit of promise, and then when it came out, absolutely died in the ass. And I know Colin's watching this; he's a bit of a Star Trek fan. Was called Section 31. What a case of what could have been, right? So, for those who don't know, Section 31, which was originally introduced in Deep Space Nine decades ago, it's the mysterious cloak and dagger section of Starfleet Command. This was a spin-off from Star Trek Discovery, where Philippa Georgiou is a part of Section 31. Cloak and dagger people doing shifty stuff for for Starfleet. They made this effectively a TV movie, and it was utter rubbish. What do you reckon, Mr. Aaron? Was disappointment doesn't even begin to cover it off.
Well, I tell you, there's going to be no Club 31s out there with fans in it. Is there? Um, I was so disappointed. I really love Star Trek, and I love the original. I love the Next Generation and the older shows. I love a lot of the Strange New Worlds, but this one I really wanted to work, and it just didn't. I didn't think it worked on any level. In fact, if you hadn't put Star Trek on the title, I don't think you would even had any connection to Star Trek at all. It was outside all the Star Trek sort of Federation boundaries and stuff like that, and they did a whole lot of stuff that usually they don't do in Star Trek. And I was just, why can't they just give us good Star Trek? It's a very easy formula to get, but everyone seems to want to stamp their own ideas on it and change it and update it, and it just doesn't need it.
Yeah, so for what made it fail is, and it's unfortunate that it occurred, right? I mean, the first segment is when you got Georgia. Oh no, it was Georgia and somebody else when they're really, really young, if I recall, and that was actually quite interesting. But when you actually she's an adult, and then they actually go through the entire. This is the mission brief. It was almost they couldn't decide where they wanted it to go. Do we make it really hardcore and dark, or do we make it a bit lighthearted and fluffy? And they went for the lighthearted and fluffy approach, which was completely against what the whole Section 31 think it was about. It should have been like a Mission Impossible kind of film or something where it's a little bit like the tension is really, really high, and they made it so comical that it didn't work. And I remember I watched it with Lynn, my other half, and we got to the end of it, and she just turned to me and said, "That was just stupid." And I go, "Yeah, that was like you know when you watch certain movies and TV shows, you're halfway through and you go, yeah, no, this is not working at all." And of course, after the thing dies and all the reviews are coming through and the producers are saying, "Yeah, it didn't exactly do what we expected," I said, "Well, what did you think?" I mean, the thing was like a massive letdown. So I can't imagine that's going to be in the pantheon of films looked at in the future for Star Trek. Because if you look at it from Star Trek movies, there's now, 14 of them, if you include that. And that would have to easily outrank, like even Motion Picture and Star Trek 5 as the worst of all the films ever made for Star Trek. So, mate, missed the boat completely. What do you reckon, dude?
Well, you say it was light and funny, but they just slaughtered all the interesting people straight away. And then
Yeah.
at the end, they're doing this thing like they're setting it up for some big team spin-off series or something. And I was just laughing, going, this is never going to happen. I don't know who they think this audience is for. It's too different from original Star Trek for Star Trek fans to like, and it's not a good enough science fiction show to pick up a new audience. So it's a fail on all levels.
With that in mind, Colin has said the latest Strange New World season was great. The new Starfleet Academy series looks promising. So the trailer for Starfleet Academy came out only a couple of weeks ago, and I must have had my head in the sand for this because I did not know that it is set in the 32nd century, which is when the season 3 of Star Trek Discovery is set. I actually thought, because you see Starfleet Academy so much in Next Generation, it would actually be
Yeah.
set in that timeline. And I was completely way off the mark. It's actually set, in the distant future. What do you reckon, dude? Do you reckon that's a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's a terrible idea because I don't like any of the Discovery stuff. I really, really tried to like it. It kind of rebooted itself every year because I think they were trying to find the audience. So I do appreciate they tried that, but every reboot for me made it worse. It is one of the few Star Trek series I gave up on and couldn't watch. So if they're doing it in that third year future, again, I'm just really not interested. It's if there's a new audience that really like it, that's fantastic, but they're not making Star Trek for me anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm a bit okay. It does allow them. This is why they've done it, because they can create the entire thing from scratch, and all this sort of business and all new characters. New, even look at some of the races. Who the hell are those guys? You are right. A lot of people did get rid of, weren't enamored by Discovery in its later seasons, and you do have to think, okay, will this find an audience? Because when it was first announced, like a couple of years ago, I don't think anybody even guessed that it was going to be set in this era. I originally thought it's either going to be the original series, which will be probably not logical, but it would work for Strange New Worlds, or as I said, Next Generation, which I thought would have been ideal for it. Right. So imagine running into the my favorite Martian, the Gardener again, Boothby. It's a Starfleet Academy. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So it is a bit of a risk. We'll have to see how it all pans out, but I don't know. So, but I saw the trailer and it was all good and great and wonderful. A lot of spaceships flying around, a lot of things blowing up as per usual. We'll have to wait and see. So,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if you saw this. This sucked me in, and then I was really, really disappointed. I saw trailers starting to come up on YouTube, and it was real for Star Trek Khan. And I thought, oh, this is a really interesting sounding project. And it was professional, and it was from Paramount and everything. And then I find out it's radio, it's audio. So that was suddenly disappointing. But I actually thought The Rise of Khan would have been a really interesting, limited series or 90-minute special to actually watch. It's an era from Star Trek that I would be interested in seeing flesh out, the eugenics wars and the politics and how he got exiled into space. So I don't know if anyone's been listening to that, because it is the type of thing I'd like to listen to, but I never get the time.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you too. So only time will tell us to see how well Starfleet Academy goes. But if it carks it in the first year, we're like, oh yeah, it's going to be struggling to find an audience going forward, you would think. Another thing that came out this year, starting with the the wireless of car, absolutely love it. Then another thing that came out this year, which everybody was sort of hanging out for, it's received sort of good reviews. It's rated number 3 amongst the entire series. Was good old Super Duper Man. which came out. So I think it's sort of now just behind Superman 2 and Superman the movie as one of the best of the Superman movies. What did you think? Did it push your buttons, Mr. Aaron?
I absolutely loved it. I walked out of that and said that's the best Superman movie since Superman 2. I was impressed because I had, heard rumblings that it was a bit too childish or a bit too comic book. But hey, Superman is comic book, and children are a big audience for it. And I think the whole dour and dark approach that the Snyderverse had gone down with Superman works absolutely fine for Batman because it's at night and he's like dealing with the underworld. But Superman always has been the guy in the blue and the red cape and is a comic book character, more like, I guess, Captain America, who, is about truth, justice, and the American way. So the Snyderverse, which a lot of people love, and I totally get that, was not the best version of Superman for me. Now it's gone back to sort of that comic book version of Superman that I loved growing up, and it reminds me, like, for me, he is the best Superman since Christopher Reeve. I actually was really impressed by the whole cast. I think it's the best Lois Lane since Margot Kidder, and even Lex, who I thought maybe cast young, did a really good job as well. So I really loved it. I thought the story was complex enough to be interesting, but not over the top to be lost for kids. And then I thought the production looked very bright and comic book, which has been missing from DC for quite a while.
So what I got out of it is I really love the way Martha and Jonathan Kent were presented. Not big name actors, just like random local dudes in Smallville. That was excellent. I really, really dialed into that. I got a little bit lost with the other three superheroes, Green Lantern and the other two guys. I thought if you're not really following the whole DC universe, you'd be a little bit lost as to why are these guys here? And I thought maybe they're a tad unnecessary, but each to their own. That I thought was just adding in two more characters. But you are right. The Lex Luthor, magnificent, absolutely fantastic, and it absolutely crapped on the guy from the Man of Steel movies. So that was really, really groovy. And I agree with you. It had a really good look, really good feel, a relatively good story. And I mean, the whole thing with the dog, okay, fair enough. You take it or leave it. It was a little bit of a scene steal. It's a bit like the Grogu from the Star Wars universe. The whole thing when they're trying to save the alien, the green alien with the kid, that I would have cut that out. I thought that was a bit superfluous, but that's only just a minor gripe. And the best scene in the entire movie by a country mile is when Clark and Lois are having a gas bag in the apartment and she's interviewing him. That was and no special effects, no flying with things, nothing. It was just two people having a chat. And that to me was just a magical moment. And I really, really dialed into that. That was really, really cool. So, I actually thought it was quite good. I wouldn't have introduced Supergirl at the end. I know why they did it, because they're setting up the future film. But I thought because they were looking at a very serious moment at that time, it just killed the moment. I can't remember what was going on. There was I think it was to do with his history or whatever it was. And then when she turns up to pick up the dog, I go, "Oh, you've just killed the mood." But that's only a minor gripe. But overall, I thought they actually did a very good job.
He was watching a montage where he'd replaced his Kryptonian parents with his Earth parents because he didn't agree with what his Kryptonian parents. And I think actually, with what's happening in America at the moment is probably quite topical with immigrants and, adopting, the values of the places that you go. So I liked it, and it was subtle enough that it wasn't rammed down your throat. And there was a lot of different things in it for different people to love, because I do think where you say maybe there were too many comic book heroes in it, other people were going, it's the best version of the Green Lantern they've ever done. So if there's, it's really hard because a lot of the people who really love the Snyderverse didn't like this because it was so different. But I love, like most, sci-fi and fantasy movies, and I thought it was a good movie.
Very good. So we've had Star Trek, we've had Superman. Now sticking with the S's, and we're almost finished. Believe it or not, our hour is almost up. Also coming up next year is the old Mandalorian and the cash cow. So the trailer for this only came out a little while ago. It has just got winner, like absolutely write your own checks, chicken dinner written all over it. And I got to admit, I really actually do like the poster for it. I think it's actually very cool. What do you reckon, dude? It's got some Babu Fricks in it, and it's got some Animanimans. It's a mixed bag of bunnies, big time, isn't it?
That's the most fun for me. And Man is in it, like the only Star Wars figure to carry around dead bodies with him, and they've introduced it into one of the for the kids kind of Mandalorian movies. It'd be interesting to see how scary they go with that. I do think that's the darkest bit in it, probably. Obviously, though, um, is this the first Star Wars movie we want since the last of the numbered Star Wars movies? It'll be interesting to see how well it goes, because obviously when there's a Star Wars movie at the cinema, it's a big event movie, and head and shoulders they get like people going and seeing them 2 or 3 times. That's the only reason they can be the biggest movie ever. If people are used to watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, are they now really going to put their hands in their pockets to go and see it a couple of times at the cinema? I think not. I think everyone will go see it once, and then they'll go, but we'll wait to see it on Disney Plus in 6 months' time if we want to see it again. So this will be a very interesting movie for Disney, just to judge the amount of people who will go into the cinemas to see something that they're virtually watching for free with their Disney subscription every week anyway. So it probably, I'll go see it. It'll probably be a good movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets half the grosses of a normal Star Wars movie that is just not related to a TV franchise.
Ads has asked, where did he get to find a new Razor Crest? He probably ordered it on Amazon. It is. There's always that's a first world problem. There's always a way of getting these things sorted out. But yes, all will be revealed, as they say. And I do like the fact. I mean, to be fair, his name's in the film title. Yeah. That Grogu just pops up everywhere. So all the little kids go, "Oh my god, I gotta go watch! I gotta watch it!" He's holding up the bloody what do you call it, the telescope and all sort of shit. And I was like, "Oh yeah, very very cool." But I did find in one of the shots where you see him walking, I was thinking, that is not Pedro Pascal. It's almost got a skinny, weedy dude to play his body, because I don't think Pedro's in, aside from his voice, is in much of it at all. So hopefully he's still got the physical presence. But yes, very, very cool. Hang on, Christy's mentioning here, can I please mention an event coming up, Star Walking, that's a Star Wars fan club, is having a trivia night of 8 to 10 p.m. on October 31st. Good old Halloween at Bandolier Brewing in Warrigal. Be curious to see who turns up. So there you go. Question 1. What's the name? What race are the Babu Fricks? Dude, that's a question for you.
I don't actually know that one. I don't care though.
Neither do I. It's called the Encellans, and the only reason why I know that is because someone told me, and I go, "Yeah, very, very good."
Oh, gee.
Yeah, it's not on Amazon because they're serving it out. Very good. Sorry, dude, what's that?
That's really political, isn't it? They're calling him an incel.
Very good. Anyway, that's Mandalorian and Grogu next year, and of course, just before we finish, the other big news that's coming out is the film that's being filmed. I think it's being filmed in Australia at the moment. Spaceballs 2. I personally think it has the risk of just being a bit of a turkey, but you can't capture lightning in a bottle twice. But you'd never know. It's certainly possible. What are your thoughts, Mr. Dude?
No, Dags. You can't capture lightning in a helmet twice.
Very good, because I bet she gives good helmet. I love that line. That was an awesome line. Spaceballs 2. What do you reckon, dude?
Well, do you know what? A lot of people are saying it's the movie we don't need, but did we really need Spaceballs 1? It's a parody, so I will go see it for sure. What I am impressed is by the depth they've gone to for getting the original cast back. And I'm not talking about the main cast. They've actually gone back and get the guy that played Philip Arsehole and some of the background characters. They're all back doing the same thing. Does that fall into the trap where there is going to be no new jokes and it's just going to rely on the same jokes over again? I guess we wait and see. But do you know what? There's other movies that come out that I don't think deserve sequels, and I'm definitely happy to go see this one.
Yeah, look, I was concerned as soon as they announced it, because I thought there's such a long gap between the first one. It could just, in the first 10 minutes, just die in the ass. But you'd like to hope that it does well. I'm not a fan of comedy, so Spaceballs didn't really work for me on a lot of levels. I mean, it was clever, but I didn't necessarily laugh at it. But as Chrissy said, we don't need it, but we want it. Yes, exactly right. As I like to say, it has the risk of doing the old Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull scenario. When that was announced, everybody went completely apeshit. Oh my God, there's a new Indiana Jones movie. It comes out, and everybody just hates it with a passion. So then they do another one after that, and people hate that with a passion as well. So it's a big risk, but I do wish them well when it comes out. And I believe they're filming it here in Australia, which is kind of cool. What do you recommend that, Mr. Aaron?
Yeah, well, we've got the deserts to comb here, haven't we?
Yes, exactly right. And those who are quick on the mark can run up to Sydney and get Tim Russ to autograph their Tuvok picture from Star Trek Voyager, which should be very, very cool. Well, guess what, fans? For our one-time only return, we don't know what's going to happen next year if we come back on a regular basis or not, but our hour is up. It's time for us to finish and do a Mickey whoop, Mr. Aaron. What do you reckon about that?
I don't know. Maybe this is the Schwartz Awakens and we're back. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, your Schwartz is nowhere near as big as mine, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Well,
Very, very cool.
I'm happy about that. That's why you're not allowed near schoolyards.
Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, guys, we're going to buzz off. Don't know when we will be returning. For those who have joined us for the first time, I hope you've enjoyed us just crapping on about stuffs as we do. But if you haven't got anything to do, be sure to, if you haven't done so already, go and check out Aaron's store. If you live in Melbourne, obviously, in Blackburn. So it is a very, very cool place to go and catch up with your nerdy offerings, dude.
And we're past an hour, so I can't talk about all the missing episodes I've recovered in the updates. Oh, well.
Bummer, dude. Exactly right. Yes, we've had enough Docu Who for one night. Anyway, we're going to buzz off for now. Don't know when we'll be back, but thank you for watching us anyway. Party hard and rock on, fans. See you sometime in the future.
Or rip them off the card.
Indeed. Party hard and rock on. Ta. Bye-bye.
See you.